A few weeks ago, I did a video on 3 very successful authors and their time management system. The 3 authors were John Grisham, Jeffrey Archer and Ian Fleming. Now, of the 3, I felt that Jeffrey Archer had probably the most extreme time management system I had come across in a very long time. You see, Jeffrey Archer's system began very early in the morning and finished pretty late in the evening. And I thought, well, no, it's a bit too extreme. But over the last few weeks, something must have been sown when I was researching his system, because a seed has begun to sprout. And I actually realized that Jeffrey Archer's time management system is genius. Now, of all your productivity tools, the one tool that should master all the others, should be the boss of all your tools, is the calendar. Now, the problem with the calendar is it's not very sexy. I mean, what can you do with a calendar? It's basically a grid of 24 hours, 7 days a week. That's, I believe, 144 hours in the week. There's not a great deal you can do with it to make it pretty, to add lots of different features and so on and so forth, which is probably why there isn't that many apps out there that's dedicated to the calendar. Most people gravitate towards playing around with task managers and notes apps because they're more exciting, they're a bit sexier, and they have a lot more features to play with. Now, of course, remember, the more you play, the less you do. And if you want to get better at time management and ultimately become more productive, then you need to be doing a lot less playing and a lot more doing. That is actually the secret to Jeffrey Archer's time management system, and I'm going to share that with you right now. And also I want to do is share with you how you can modify it so that it works better for you. Now, before I get into the details of Jeffrey Archer's time management system, I would just like to thank Skillshare for sponsoring this week's video. Now, Skillshare is an online community where millions come together to take the next step in their creative journey, with thousands of inspiring classes for creative and curious people, just like you, on topics including illustration, design, photography, productivity, time management, freelancing, and so much more. Skillshare has classes to fit your schedule no matter what it is. It's an online community. You can take classes first thing in the morning, you can take classes later in the evening or in the middle of the day. For example, this course by Greg McKeown on essentialism is fantastic. I took this course earlier this year, and I've taken it twice since, because it's really important to get down to the very basics of what is important to you. And Greg does a great job in this course in explaining the essential things in life. Now, if you're looking for the perfect place to ignite your creativity and learning, then give Skillshare a try. The first 1,000 people to use the link or my code, which is in the show notes below, will get 1 month free trial of Skillshare, so you can start exploring your creativity today. Thank you so much, Skillshare, for sponsoring this video. Jeffrey Archer's time management system is actually very simple. It's broken down into 2-hour segments. So essentially what he's doing is 2 hours on, 2 hours off, 2 hours on, 2 hours off. Now, he does this for a long time. He begins with 2 hours on at 6 a.m. That takes him to 8. From 8 till 10, he has 2 hours off. From 10 till 12, another work session of 2 hours, and 12 till 2 is a break, and he will finish with his last work session between 6 and 8 p.m. So basically he is working 2, 4, 6, 8 hours a day, and it is proper, solid, focused work for 8 hours a day. But equally, he's getting 8 hours, or 6 hours a day, I should say, of rest. Now, his day is long. And when I first looked at that, I realized, well, this is a bit extreme. However, when I thought about this a little bit more, when that seed started germinating and growing, I realized that actually there is another way. So what I did was I plotted out a basic structure of my own week and tried to build it around the 2 hours on, 2 hours off. Now, one of the things that I should point out is 2 hours on is roughly my limit. I can focus pretty well for 2 hours and then I need a break. If I go to about 2 hours 15, 2 hours 20 minutes, I am really struggling. So 2 hours is a good time limit for myself. So I started looking at my own calendar and just modifying it a little bit so that it started to fit into these 2 hours on, 2 hours off. And what surprised me was that it is actually nearly possible to mimic Jeffrey Archer's time management system. Now, what I mean by that is, although my days I'm not able to structure my days as well as Jeffrey Archer in terms of 2 hours on, 2 hours off, 2 hours on, because each day is going to be different. But if you look at what I've done here, on a Monday, my day starts reasonably early. I have I have 2 hours of calls first thing Monday morning. So that's the first 2 hour block taken care of. Then I can take some rest, and if I need to get a nap or I need to take some time off just to get some air, I've got the 2 hours to do that. Then I can come back to my office and do another 2 hours on, which on a Monday for me would be writing. Then I would take my dog for a walk and get some air myself and do my own exercise. Then back again and doing some writing. Dinner and reading, I like to read in the evening, and then doing my admin and communications later in the evening, followed by another 2 hours of calls. Now, just keep in mind that I run my own business, therefore I don't work to a 9 till 5 office hour regulation. Running your own business, that's one of the sacrifices you have to make if you want to build a sustainable business. However, if you look at my schedule here, you'll realize that I'm getting plenty of rest, there's plenty of family time in there, and I'm getting all my work done. These blue blocks here, family time and rest time, I can do whatever I feel like doing in that time. Now, if we look at Jeffrey Archer's schedule, those break times that he has, those 2 hour break times, he's probably going to have meetings on some days and he may have lunch appointments as well. So, you know, it's not like he's in monk mode where he's not meeting anybody at all. You know, he does have those meetings. Those break times is when he's meeting. But let's go into how you could modify this for yourself so that you could start getting this much more structured day built into your life. So the way I would start or go about building this, if I was building this from scratch, is I would start with myself and my family. That would be my starting point. I would not be starting with my work. Work is just one part of your life. The one part of your life that is not going to leave you ever is your life, your personal life. So I would be starting with my personal life. My morning routines would be very important. Your morning routines are very important. But what about your family time? Now, most people would have their family time in the evening. So in this particular example, we've got our family time between 6 and 10 p.m. Now, during that time, you may decide, well, I'm going to have 2 hours family time and I'll do 2 hours of reading and self-study time. You get to choose what you do in the evenings. But this is where I would start. I would start in the evening, not start with your personal life, not start with your professional life. Now, once you've done your personal life, then you can start looking at how you're going to structure your day at work. Now, I would start with the focus blocks, unless you've got meetings that are fixed each week. Now, some of you may have a team meeting that is fixed every single week. Therefore, just get those in. That's going to give you a basis on which to build the rest of the week. And then you can start looking at where you could fix in focus work. Now, if you can block that out now, other people are not going to be scheduling your calls. Now, just to give you an example here, if I ever change my coaching calls times, my time program details or schedule, I'm not able to change it until about maybe 4 to 6 weeks in the future because most of the calls will be fully booked up until then. But I can set up the calendar scheduling service to change so that it gives people better time slots that they can choose. But it does take a few weeks for that to filter through. So you can do this now. You can start blocking these focus times in your calendar in, say, 4 to 5 weeks time. You may want to start small and just build them up, because other people can then see that you're busy. They don't necessarily see what you're doing, but they can see that you're busy, and then they're not going to request a meeting at that time. And as you can see in this particular example, and I say you can move this around as much as you like. You can, change these meeting times, maybe more meeting times if that's what your kind of work does. We're all working slightly differently, but it's a really good way to think in terms of 2-hour blocks. I'm going to have 2 hours of focus time, then I'll have 2 hours of miscellaneous work, the emails, the messages, the meetings. Try and fit them together in a group of 2 hours, and then go back to doing some focus work, or indeed take a rest. But I think it's something that you want to have a look at. There's no point in closing your mind out and saying, no, I cannot do this, because, well, you will never change. You will never find solutions to your problems unless you're willing to look at something maybe as extreme as Jeffrey Archer's scheduling or time management system, and then looking and thinking, well, okay, that's his, but maybe I can modify it slightly and make this same principle but work for me. And that's how to get yourself better at time management. Now, as I say, if you want to learn a little bit more, if you want to know more about how these highly successful authors, John Grisham, Ian Fleming and Jeffrey Archer, manage their time, then this video over here is going to be the next video you should be watching.